Hello, welcome back. My name is Ari, and this week I am doing another ARC vlog. I've got 4 ARCs that I need to read in the month of October, so I'm going to try to read them this week and vlog about my experience reading them. Before I get into that, I do want to note that something happened to my camera settings when I moved and the lighting is all off. I don't know if this is actually better. I know that I am much brighter than I was in the last video, but I also feel like I am very like orange or red, and it's hard to tell in the viewfinder, but I'm gonna go with it. It could be the light. If the lighting is still really off, I don't know how to fix it at this point, so I don't know. I'll keep screwing around with the camera based on what I see in editing. If you have any advice on how to use this Canon, let me know in the comments because I'm obviously not very good at this. Anyway, the vlog this week. What books am I reading? Hello, not prepared me, don't have my list in front of me. Right, so there's 4 books that I am reading in this vlog. 3 of them are books that release in October that I received ARC copies from NetGalley. And then 1 of them is one that released actually a few months ago, and I had received an ARC copy from Edelweiss, and I completely forgot about it. Oops. So we're gonna read that one too. Alright, so the first 2 come out on October 12th, which is the day that this vlog goes up. So at the time that you see this vlog, you will be able to pick up these 2 books. Yay! One of them is Tales from the Cafe by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, and this is the continuation or like another book set in the same universe, same series as Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which I listened to on audiobook last month, and then I got an ARC copy of this one, and I loved Before the Coffee Gets Cold, so I am very, very much looking forward to reading Tales from the Cafe, and I think it's just going to be another short story collection. The other one that is coming out October 12th is Trailer Park Trickster by David Slayton, and this is book 2 in the Adam Binder series, which book 1 was White Trash Warlock, I believe, but it's about a gay warlock from Guthrie, Oklahoma, where and he's trailer park trash. He grew up trailer park trash. He grew up pretty hated because honestly, people in that part of the country don't really have a whole lot of room for anybody different than they are. So if you're not straight and white, they don't like you. And it's like magic mixed with like country, or it's magic mixed with rednecks, and I thought it was going to be silly, but it ended up being like fantastic. So I'm very, very excited to get the second book in David Slayton's series. I highly recommend this one. I grew up in Oklahoma, and that's kind of why I picked it up, but the first book was so good that I'm really, really looking forward to reading the second book. The next book on this list, or the next book in this video, is Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood, and that releases on October 19th, so a week later. This, I kept seeing people requesting an ARC of this, and I had FOMO. And even though I know this is not my genre, this is young adult horror, I think. So it's perfect for this month, but I don't like young adult that much. So I'm going into this one a little bit skeptical, but hopefully it turns out great and it blows me away and I can recommend it to all of you, but we'll see. The last book in this vlog is Defending a Serial Killer. I honestly don't remember who it's by, and it's already released, so it's technically an ARC that I need to get reviewed, but it's already out. So I will be back once I start reading. All right, I have finished, not White Trash Warlock, Trailer Park Trickster. I have finished Trailer Park Trickster. That shouldn't be that hard to say. And I really enjoyed this. This basically follows Adam Binder, who is a very not powerful magic user or warlock, whatever. And he's human, but he has like no power whatsoever. But the fact that he has no power makes him very powerful because he's kind of like sneaky. He can sneak past powerful magicians or warlocks or elves or magical creatures and stuff like that, and like, screw with him and they don't even notice him. So his lack of power and his compassion and his personality make him like super, super powerful. And it's a really interesting, like the whole series is a really interesting take on magic users, right? Because usually it's like the character you follow is the most powerful, and following like the least powerful is really fun. Not to mention he's a gay country boy from Oklahoma, so I'm sold because I grew up in Oklahoma. But it's a really interesting combination of like racist, homophobic people on the Bible Belt and a queer magic user. I like it. This particular book follows Adam, and something is targeting his family and killing off his family members. So you have like that plot line, and then you follow another character named Vic, and I can't really tell you a whole lot about Vic's storyline because it's dependent on a huge plot twist from book 1. But just know that you're following some adventures that Vic is going on, and then you're following Adam and him trying to figure out stuff about his family. And unfortunately, this book ends on a huge cliffhanger, and I need to know what's happening. And I can't wait for book 3. And book 2 isn't even out yet because I'm reading arcs. But book 1 didn't really end on, like, it ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger, but not as big of a cliffhanger as this one. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but we'll just go with what I said. Anyway, I like this a whole lot. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. It's not quite 5-star, and I don't know what it's missing to be 5-star. It's just one of those where 5 stars are books that I get giddy about when I read them, and even though I like thoroughly enjoyed this book, I was not giddy about it at any point while reading it. So, done with this. Highly recommend this series if you like queer magic and you're a little bit country. Great. What am I reading next? I have no idea, but you'll find out in half a second in this next clip. Hello, I'm recording this clip on the floor because I got some ghosty fairy lights and I'm super excited about it. Yay, aren't they cute? I don't even know if you can see them or not. They're little ghosties and they're adorable. What you're really here for is me talking about Tales from the Cafe, which I finished last night. Let me scoochy this direction so there's plenty of room for the cover over here. So Tales from the Cafe, very much like Before the Coffee Gets Cold, is 4 short stories of people going into this cafe to time travel. And like the first one, And like the first book, these tales are incredibly sad yet heartwarming. Most of the time when somebody's trying to time travel, because the time travel is so restrictive, you have to have a very, very specific reason that you need to talk to somebody. And it's usually very, very sad reasons, like somebody died. It's not always because somebody dies, but a lot of the times it's because somebody dies. And yeah. It's sad. It's sad, but it's sweet. And it's got a message about how to live your life to the fullest it's got a message about to live your life to the fullest and to be happy, because being happy is very respectful to the person that you were being happy for, or whose life you're honoring. It's hard to talk about without like spoiling. Just know that it's very, very sad, and I liked it a lot. I ended up giving this one 5 stars. The first one I gave 4 stars because I didn't like the first story, but this one I liked all 4 stories, so I gave it full 5 stars. Fantastically written. I do want to note that this is a work of fiction written in Japanese and translated to English, and that Japanese culture is very, very different from Western culture as far as like how you interact with others and what you prioritize. Like, we in Western culture are very, very selfish people, and it's all about like me and making me happy and doing things for me. In Japanese culture, it seems to be a whole lot more about what's good for the community and what's good for everybody, and less focused on selfishness. I mean, you can still be selfish, but it's less so than in Western cultures. And so a lot of the behaviors of the characters in this book do not fit in well with Western culture. And I've seen a lot of reviews by white people on Goodreads where they're like, this isn't realistic at all. No one actually behaves this way. And it's like, they do. Maybe no one you know behaves that way, but you're also white and you're not in Japan, so there's cultural differences. And it feels really bad to see all these like really negative reviews because people don't understand that this isn't a book by a white author. And just because they don't behave a certain way, they don't think anybody in the world behaves that way. Especially with how great these stories are. It's very sad to see bad reviews for that reason. Anyway, I am going to start reading Within These Wicked Walls, which is a book in this reading vlog that I probably know the least about. I was seeing a lot of hype and a lot of people requesting to review this book or getting review copies of this book, but I haven't actually seen a whole lot of people read it. But this one's a little bit outside of like my normal comfort zone. It's horror and the plot sounds amazing, but it's young adult. And I'm not doing great with young adult books recently. There's been some that I thought are really good, so I'm giving this a chance, and I'm going into this with an open mind, expecting to hopefully like it and not hate it, but there's a chance that this just isn't going to do it for me because it's for a young adult audience instead of an adult audience. But let's hope we keep up the trend of really, really good books, and I give this another 4 or 5 stars, because if I can go through a reading vlog and give them all 4 or above stars, this is going to be the most successful ARC vlog of all time. But 2 books to go. Let's get into Within These Wicked Walls. Alright, hi, hello. I have finished Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren... I don't remember. Who knows? Covers here. You could read her last name. I'm sorry. This one was actually pretty interesting. And before I get into this, I want to make a side note. There's a really, really bad storm and some like tornado warnings going on. So if you hear like loud banging noises or stuff in the background, it's just the storm. It's not anything important. But the book. So basically what this is about is this young girl, she's 19, and she was raised to be kind of like an exorcist almost, where in this Ethiopian inspired society, she uses the power of God to create like amulets that remove curses. So hauntings, curses, the evil eye, things like that. And she was orphaned at 5 or sold into slavery by her parents at 5, which I'm gonna go with orphan because that sounds way better, and given to this guy, and he trained her. And then before she could be fully approved to do this job, which I don't remember the name of, he abandoned her, kicked her out, and now she has spent her entire life training to do this, and she's homeless. And so the only way without a patron, or the only way without a like a master apprentice type thing, where your trainer approves you to be your own full-fledged exorcist, that's not what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it, is to get a rich patron. And so she takes on this like intense, dangerous, deadly job of a very wealthy man whose father was cursed with the evil eye. Then his father died and passed it down to him, and so he's 21, and he has to live alone in this house, and the entire house is basically haunted. It's not really haunted, but it's the curse of the evil eye that has been put on him, and like the walls bleed and people vanish, and if you go out of your room after 10 p.m. then you'll be attacked and potentially die. But all around it's like really dangerous, and she takes this job in order to get this man to be her patron, but she doesn't really have the training to do this cleansing by herself. But of course, because it's YA, they fall in love in the process, her and the cursed guy, and you've got their relationship and blah, 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 blah. And overall, like, the story itself of the book is really good, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was unique to me, at least. I had fun following the characters. I liked most of the characters, though not all of them, and just overall I liked the story. But there was a lot of like problems within the story. Like, first off, her being disowned by her patron, or by her like her being disowned by the guy who raised and trained her just does not make any sense. Like, that entire plot line does not make any sense, and I can't really get into it without spoiling some of the stuff at the end, but let me just tell you, it does not make any freaking sense at all. So, like, I thought that could have been done better somehow. Magnus, who is the love interest and the cursed dude, his personality is like non-existent. He is the most flat, two-dimensional character, which doesn't make any sense because all of the other characters in this book are great. Well, not all, but most of them are like great. Or even if they're like icky characters, they're still fleshed out characters, except for him. Like, he has like one personality trait, which is having no personality. Like, he's very emotionally stunted and kind of an asshole. He's like a rich white guy is the best way I can describe it. But his personality just, it's not even that I hate his personality, it just doesn't exist and I don't understand the dynamic. So I don't like insta love, and of course YA, it's gonna be an insta love. Like, they meet and almost instantly fall in love with each other. But I didn't like the insta love aspect of this, and then their relationship didn't make any sense because she had such a well built out, interesting personality, and he was a cardboard cutout of a rich white guy. And so I never understood what she saw in him because he has no personality. I don't know how many times I could say that. But so I didn't like his character, and then I didn't like any relationship stuff she had with him because I didn't like his character. There was a little bit of religious stuff in here, so if you're like really, really anti-Christianity in your fantasy, you probably won't like this, but it was so little that it didn't bother me at all. There was also another popular trope is like miscommunication / lying, and that happened a lot in here, and I don't like that. I want characters to talk things out. Like, if your book doesn't have a plot, if the characters just have a conversation with each other, I'm not a big fan. And this one, the miscommunication / lying trope was done okay, so I didn't hate it, but I also didn't think it was done so well that I liked it. So this one firmly landed in like a 3-star. So like a high 3-star, like I enjoyed it. It was a pretty decent book, but it's not like, oh my god, I love this so much. But if the premise of this book sounds cool to you, I do think it was a cool book, and I do think it's worth a read. It was a really quick read. So unless you can't stand miscommunication tropes and insta love, I'd say pick up this book and go for it. It gets my approval, even though it's not going to be like a favorite of the year, if that makes sense. The final book I am talking about in this video is Defending a Serial Killer, and again, I don't remember who this is by. I am going to be honest with you, this was actually the first book I read, and not something that I'm going to read now, but I DNF'd this very, very quickly, and I'm going to tell you why. So this book is a non-fiction, true crime, if you will, and it is about a lawyer who was a public defender, or he may have been like in law school or just graduated law school, and he's a public defender. He's very, very new to law, and he was tasked with helping the district attorney. No, not the district attorney. He was tasked with helping a more experienced lawyer research this serial killer's case in order to defend a serial killer. And the premise of the book is, how do you reconcile yourself with defending somebody who has done such heinous things? And basically the idea is you have to like detach yourself from the emotion of his crimes and just follow the letter of the law when you're defending them. My problem with this book is it has some very, very harmful and false and hateful anti-trans messaging. Basically, the serial killer that you're following in this book was potentially trans. This happened in like the 60s, but it was written recently. So the trans language, or the anti-trans language, never really had any room to exist, but it especially doesn't have to exist because it's a modern text, and he is reflecting on something that happened in his past, not like somebody in the 60s with a completely different understanding of trans individuals than we have now. So this character was potentially, this serial killer was potentially a trans woman, though never like used she pronouns, never really publicly presented as a woman. So I can't speak for their experiences of whether they were a man who enjoyed wearing women's clothes, or if they were actually a trans woman, or if they were just a woman, because trans women are women. But he was trying to, but the author was trying to tie in this serial killer's cross-dressing with him being a serial killer. And being trans has fuck all to do with being a serial killer. Like, this never needed to be mentioned at all when you're talking about this person as a serial killer. And anytime, and the author repeatedly mentioned, like, perversion, which wearing women's clothes is not a perversion. Women do it every fucking day. Like, I don't know what world this man lives in, but wearing women's clothes does not make you a serial killer, or else there'd be a whole hell of a lot more female serial killers out there. But it was gross, and I hated it, and I DNF'd it, and I definitely do not recommend this for anybody, just because it's trans individuals are so marginalized and so hated for doing absolutely fucking nothing that harms anybody. And like, trying to say that being trans makes you a serial killer or inclines you to be a serial killer is the most idiotic, hateful, stupid, trashy thing that I've read in a while, and the thunder agrees with me. See? Even Mother Nature is mad about this stupid author being anti-trans. So I definitely do not recommend anybody to read that book, and that is the end of my rant about that. Anyway, those are all of the arcs that I have read this month. Let me know if you are planning to pick up any of these, or if there's any new releases that came out this month that I didn't read in this vlog that I definitely 100% should. And that's everything. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!